All right guys, quick update for our Enduro e-bike build. Got a couple more parts that I want to show you. First thing you'll notice is this powerful lithium battery. It's a custom build. This was made for the e-box 2, and it actually fits in the Enduro e-bike frame set. It's 72 volts, 30 amp hours, XT60 charging connector, and a QS8 discharge connector. Got these battery straps, Velcro battery straps. I'll add all this in the description in case you want to use the same parts. So how do we mount it inside of the frame? This is the bottom and this is the top. The battery will fit somewhere kind of like that. And then we could run the battery cables up through this section into the controller. We want to put some cushions, so we got some EVF foam. This is basically like cosplay foam. You can get this on Amazon. Again, link in the description. And I just cut it to fit inside of the frame. So it acts as a bit of a buffer, so the battery is not touching the metal frame directly. And obviously when you're riding, lots of vibrations and things like that. So you don't want the metal to cut into the cells accidentally. Here you go. I have it overlapping slightly just so there's a little bit of a buffer. Yeah, so kind of fits like this. Probably make a hole in here so the cables will go through the top of the frame. But yeah, that's pretty much a perfect fit for the frame. I have this extra piece of cushion, put it here to make it a little tighter in the frame. Another thing you want to do is add some battery straps as reinforcement to keep the battery from moving around. So I would run the straps through here like this. Probably lift the battery up. I have 3 battery straps. Battery down, make sure everything is nice and snug. Run the straps on top of the battery like so. Third one over here, and then just strap it down. 1, 2, and 3. Nice and snug. Still got some room over here if you want to add like a step down or some other accessories, lighting, things like that. Plenty of room over here. I'll probably cut a hole over here to run the battery cable through, as well as the display controls. All right, so next we have the controller, and this is an Iconic Cycles Far Driver 72300. This is a really popular controller. I had to drill some holes into this part of the moto seat. It wasn't easy because this is pretty strong steel and I didn't have the right drill bits to drill through it, so I had to use an angle grinder to poke holes in here, but got it done. Put some bolts with some nylon nuts to secure it, and yeah, so it's a nice fit, kind of perfectly fit into here. It might be hard to see, but the frame actually has holes, and I think these holes are for the Sabaton controller. Since I wanted to go with the Far Driver, it's just a different hole set, so that's why I had to drill new holes. Added the QS8 connector to connect to the powerful lithium battery. I also got the Iconic Cycles wiring kit for the Far Driver. Also bought their Bluetooth module so I can access the settings with my phone. Got the ignition switch over here, as well as the Sur-Run style throttle and the domino grips. All of this you can order on the Iconic site. I'll put a link in the description. I also have a promo code if you want to save some money. Got this Chow-G display. It also came with the plug-and-play connectors, so I can connect it directly to the Far Driver controller wiring module. They give you a splitter so you can just plug into the connectors and you don't have to do any real splicing. It also comes with an additional mount. This is a 31.8 millimeter handlebar with a 90 millimeter rise. I'm using a direct stem mount. We're gonna do the Magura MT5 hydraulic disc brakes, and this is 4-piston. We actually use these sintered brake pads because they just have better heat dissipation. They grip a little bit stronger, so we're gonna go with these. And then we also have some carbon fiber spacers. So this is gonna be added to the Reflosa fork because there's gonna be some space when we mount it to the frame, and this will take up the space. The frame set does come with a star nut, but we also bought an additional one just in case. Additional accessories, we got the Sur-Run front fender. This will fit the Reflosa front fork. We also got a single speed chain. Not exactly sure how many links I'll need, but we got 116 links just in case. Pretty sure it's going to be about 112 links. And also got this Shimano Master Link. Now for the bottom bracket, we went with a 44 tooth single chain ring. We also went with a 152 millimeter crank. Since our bike is probably going to be lowered, we don't want long cranks because they could potentially scrape the ground. I think 152 millimeter is probably the right size. All right, so for the front, we went with a KKE 17 by 2.15 inch rim. We also added a 203 millimeter rotor. and a Shinko SR241 17-inch by 2.75-inch trials tire. This is a tire that we've actually mounted on our Sur-Ron. A bit of a dual sport tread, probably good for mostly off-road, but it's a heavy-duty tire. Inside we have a 70-100 17 moto tube, a really strong tube. We also had some rim tape to protect the tube. This is a really nice wheel. This will fit on our Reflosa Hawk 31 Pro because that's made for the Sur-Ron. This is really the size that I want for this build. I wanted 17s, and I couldn't find any wheels that would actually match the hub motor. We needed a rim with 36 holes. We also needed a rim that would fit between the 155 millimeter dropout, and then it narrows down to the front of the bike, which is about 80 millimeters. For the rear, we have a KKE 17 by 2.5 inch rim, so a little bit wider. We're going to remove the hub over here. We're going to install a motor. I'll show you guys in a second what motor we're going to use. The reason we went with a Sur-Ron rim is because we couldn't find a 17-inch rim with 36 holes. We also added a moto rim strip over here just to protect the tube. Link in the description. All right guys, last but not least, we have the QS205 3.5T rear hub motor. So this hub motor is 3,000 watt rated, 6,000 watt peak. It's pretty beefy, but it's not too big for this kind of build, for the weight of the bike and the parts and things like that. So this should be perfect. We're gonna mount it inside of the KKE wheel. This has 36 spokes, so the spokes should line up perfectly. We'll probably go with some moto spokes, and our buddy Paul is actually going to mount it, so that's going to be really cool. Another good thing is that the Hall sensor connector connects directly into our far driver connector, so there's no splicing involved, just plug and play. One last thing I added to this wheel is this 26 tooth freewheel over here. This is where we're going to install our single speed chain, and this is a common freewheel for the QS205. I'll put all the links in the description of everything I just spoke about. We'll see if Paul can mount this motor into the KKE wheel, and then from there it's just assembly.
We have a collection of components we're going to be putting together here. This motor is going to be relaced into the Sur-Ron wheel, and then we're going to mount the whole process in this swing arm, and with the Shinko tires, that's going to set just right as far as clearance is concerned. And we want to go from that surface to that surface. And with the torque arms on the inside, we'll be fine, clearance-wise. In terms of prepping the wheel, we're going to be removing the Sur-Ron hubs, all the spokes, because they're the wrong length. And we're going to be matching the heavy-duty gauge with these heavy-duty nipples as well. Both the wheel and the motor are the same spoke count of 36. And we'll have to place the wheel in there and measure it. Two possibilities: a cross lace, which is a little bit more stable and handles the braking and the acceleration torque better. The other option, if there's not enough distance between the wheel and the inside of the rim, we're gonna have to go with a radial pattern used in situations where there's not enough clearance to actually cross over the spoke. These spokes can't be reused. They're way too long and the wrong format. The Sur-Ron hubs have a side-to-side mounting position, which is good for off-roading, but the motor has the traditional pattern, which requires a different type of spoke shape on the end. Rick already got the rim tape in there, so that's good to see. I expect this build to be pretty smooth and reliable. It's direct drive, so it's going to be quiet, and with the winding count on the motor, it's going to give us a good top end. That's what we're looking for, so I expect it to meet those needs.
It's been a long time coming. Really excited to show you guys how this thing runs. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.